Find your passion and you'll never work a day in your life. Sounds beautiful, doesn't it? Simple and pure. The perfect formula for a fulfilling existence. But what if I told you this is one of the most misleading philosophical suggestions of our time? The problem begins with a simple question. What exactly is this passion we're supposed to follow? Is it fixed or fluid? Singular or multiple? Born or built? Have you noticed how people who give this advice rarely define what passion actually means? The ancient Greeks had a more nuanced view. They spoke of eudaimonia, human flourishing through developing virtuous habits over time. Aristotle didn't advise his students to follow their passion. Instead, he suggested that meaning emerges through excellence in activity, not just emotional enthusiasm. When someone tells you to follow your passion, which passion are they referring to exactly? Most of us don't have just one passion. We have many interests that wax and wane throughout our lives. The passion that consumes you at 20 might bore you at 35. Cal Newport, author of So Good They Can't Ignore You, puts it bluntly. Passion is rare. Passion is dangerous. His research suggests that for most people, passion follows mastery, not the other way around. We become passionate about what we get good at, rather than magically getting good at what we're passionate about. Intriguing, isn't it? That the very thing you're being told to follow might actually be following you. Philosopher Søren Kierkegaard would likely scoff at our modern passion-centric career advice. He distinguished between aesthetic and ethical approaches to life. The aesthetic approach seeks immediate pleasure and intense experiences, what we might call passion today. But Kierkegaard saw this as an immature stage, ultimately leading to boredom and despair. So if passion is unreliable, what alternatives do we have? Consider the Japanese concept of ikigai, a reason for being. Your ikigai emerges at the intersection of what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be rewarded for. This framework integrates personal enjoyment with external contribution and practical concerns. Another problem with follow your passion. It assumes passion pre-exists action. What if it's often the other way around? Angela Duckworth, psychologist and author of Grit, found that interest typically precedes passion. You become curious about something, explore it, develop skills, encounter challenges, overcome them, and gradually, passion emerges. It's a process, not a revelation. The follow your passion narrative also ignores a crucial reality. Work is still work, even when you're passionate about it. Every career path involves difficult tasks, tedious responsibilities, and challenging periods. Mike Rowe, host of Dirty Jobs, puts it succinctly: never follow your passion, but always bring it with you. His point? Passion shouldn't dictate your career choice. Rather, you can approach any worthwhile work with passion. Consider the craftspeople Rowe encountered: plumbers, waste management specialists, factory workers. Many found deep satisfaction not because they followed pre-existing passions, but because they brought curiosity, mastery, and purpose to necessary work. This connects to philosopher Simone Weil's concept of attention as a form of prayer. For a while, giving something your complete attention can become a sacred act, regardless of whether it began as a passion. The Stoic philosophers would certainly agree. Marcus Aurelius didn't advise finding work that excites your passions. Instead, he counseled, "Love the humble art you have learned and take rest in it. For Stoics, fulfillment came through virtue and acceptance, not the pursuit of emotional highs. But what about all those successful people who followed their passions? Fair point. There are certainly cases where following genuine passion leads to remarkable achievement, but we need to be careful about survivorship bias. We see the rare successes, not the countless people whose passion pursuits led to frustration, debt, or disillusionment. Even for the successful ones, the story is usually more complicated. Steve Jobs is often cited as the poster child for passion following. Yet his actual career path included numerous pivots, practical compromises, and unexpected turns. The philosopher John Dewey might offer a more practical alternative. He emphasized intelligent action, experimental, reflective engagement with the world. Instead of asking, "What is my passion?" we might ask, "What problems interest me? What can I contribute? What can I learn here?" This experimental approach allows for flexibility and growth. You try things, pay attention to what energizes you, develop skills, adjust course, and gradually build a career that fits your evolving interests and strengths. The psychologist Martin Seligman suggests that meaning comes through using your signature strengths in service to something larger than yourself. This shifts the focus from self-expression to contribution, from what excites you to what you can offer. Viktor Frankl, Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, observed that happiness cannot be pursued, it must ensue, as the unintended side effect of one's dedication to a cause greater than oneself. For Frankl, meaning wasn't found through introspection, but through engagement with the world beyond yourself. So what if instead of follow your passion, we said, develop rare and valuable skills that allow you to make meaningful contributions? Not quite as catchy, is it? But perhaps more accurate. How might this reframed understanding actually change how you approach your career? First, it might relieve the immense pressure many feel to identify their one true passion. If you're someone who has multiple interests or hasn't found that all-consuming calling, you're not broken or behind. You're normal. Second, it suggests focusing less on how a career makes you feel initially and more on the opportunities it provides for skill development, impact, autonomy, and connection. Third, it encourages exploration and skill building rather than premature specialization. Instead of committing to one path based on current passion, you might try different fields, develop transferable skills, and remain open to unexpected opportunities. The philosopher and cognitive scientist Alva Noe offers a helpful perspective. He suggests that consciousness isn't something trapped inside your head, but emerges through your active engagement with the environment. Similarly, perhaps your passion isn't an internal essence waiting to be discovered, but emerges through your interactions with the world. From this view, meaningful work comes not from expressing a pre-existing inner passion, but from developing more skillful, present, and purposeful ways of engaging with reality. This connects to sociologist Robert Bella's concept of work as a calling. Historically, a calling wasn't primarily about self-fulfillment, but about responding to a need. It wasn't, "What would make me happy?" but, "What am I being called to do? What needs doing that I can do?" Consider how differently we might approach career choices if we replaced follow your passion with develop valuable skills that address meaningful problems. The focus shifts from self-expression to contribution, from finding the perfect match to creating value wherever you are. The danger of the passion narrative is that it suggests there's a perfect fit out there, a career soulmate, and your job is simply to find it. This creates what psychologists call a fixed mindset rather than a growth mindset. Carol Dweck's research shows that a fixed mindset, believing your qualities are carved in stone, leads to avoiding challenges and giving up easily. A growth mindset, believing your qualities can be developed, creates resilience and love of learning. Follow your passion often fosters a fixed mindset. If work doesn't feel immediately exciting and natural, you must have chosen wrong. But meaningful careers are built, not found. They develop through persistent learning, overcoming challenges, and finding purpose in contribution. Think of choosing a career like selecting a musical instrument to learn. Some people may feel immediately drawn to a particular instrument, but for many others, the affinity develops through practice. Almost no one loves playing an instrument on day one, when you can barely produce a decent sound. The pleasure comes with competence. As you develop skills, you experience the satisfaction of mastery, the joy of expression, the connection with others through music making. The passion narrative also creates a false dichotomy. Either you follow your passion or you sell out. But what if the most fulfilling path involves neither blindly following passion nor cynically chasing money, but thoughtfully integrating purpose, strengths, market needs, and practical considerations? Entrepreneur Derek Sivers suggests a useful framework. Consider the intersection of three questions. What brings you joy? What are you good at? What does the world need and values enough to pay for? This approach honors internal factors like enjoyment while recognizing the importance of skill development and external value creation. It suggests that meaningful work isn't just about self-expression, but about creating value through the application of developed capabilities. The sociologist Studs Terkel, after interviewing hundreds of workers for his book Working, concluded, "Work is about a search for daily meaning as well as daily bread, for recognition as well as cash, for astonishment rather than torpor. In short, for a sort of life rather than a Monday through Friday sort of dying." Notice how many of these sources of meaning, recognition, astonishment, aliveness, involve connection with others and engagement with the world, not just the expression of internal passion. The passion narrative often assumes that if you find work you're passionate about, motivation will never be an issue. But anyone who has pursued meaningful work knows this isn't the case. Even work you generally love involves tasks you don't enjoy. Even the most aligned career includes days of drudgery, conflict, or doubt. The question isn't whether you'll face motivation challenges, but how you'll handle them when they inevitably arise. Perhaps a better metaphor than following your passion would be cultivating your garden. A garden requires initial interest, yes, but also planning, persistent effort, adaptation to conditions, patience through seasons, and acceptance of both growth and decay. This gardening metaphor acknowledges that meaningful work develops over time, requires consistent care, and involves both intentional action and responsiveness to conditions beyond your control. The pandemic prompted many people to reconsider their relationship with work. The Great Resignation suggests widespread dissatisfaction with pre-pandemic work arrangements. Many cite wanting more meaningful work as a reason for changing jobs. But what if this search for meaning is hindered rather than helped by the follow your passion framework? What if it sets unrealistic expectations that lead to perpetual dissatisfaction? Barry Schwartz, author of The Paradox of Choice, observes that having too many options can actually make us less satisfied with our choices. When we believe there's a perfect match out there, a career that would perfectly align with our passion, we're more likely to question our current path and wonder if something better exists. This connects to the concept of satisficing versus maximizing. Satisficers accept good enough choices, while maximizers keep searching for the best possible option. Research shows that maximizers often make objectively better choices but feel worse about them. They're more prone to regret, comparison, and second guessing. The Buddhist tradition offers another perspective that challenges the passion narrative. The concept of right livelihood focuses less on finding work that excites you and more on work that causes no harm and contributes positively to society. This shifts the primary question from what am I passionate about to what kind of world do I want to help create through my work? It suggests aligning your career not just with personal preferences, but with core values. So where does this leave us? Is follow your passion completely worthless as advice? Not entirely. At its best, this guidance pushes back against soul-crushing conformity and reminds us that emotional engagement matters. When it means don't spend your life in work you find meaningless if you have alternatives, there's wisdom there. But we need to recognize its limitations and reframe it more thoughtfully. Perhaps instead of follow your passion, we might say, develop rare and valuable skills that allow you to make meaningful contributions while honoring your interests, values, and circumstances. Not quite as catchy, is it? But perhaps more likely to lead to sustainable fulfillment. Let's break this down. Develop rare and valuable skills acknowledges that meaningful work requires competence. You're unlikely to find fulfillment in work you can't do well. Mastery matters. That allows you to make meaningful contributions recognizes that purpose comes through impact, not just self-expression. Work becomes meaningful when it creates value for others. While honoring your interests, values, and circumstances integrates personal factors with external realities. Your interests matter, but they're not the only thing that matters. Howard Thurman, the civil rights leader and philosopher, offered this guidance. Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive, and go do it, because what the world needs is people who have come alive. At first glance, this might seem to support the follow your passion approach. But notice the subtle difference. Thurman doesn't say, do what you're passionate about. He says, do what makes you come alive. And coming alive involves not just self-expression, but engagement, contribution, growth, and connection. Perhaps the most accurate advice isn't follow your passion, but develop your aliveness, your capacity to engage fully with work that matters, to grow through challenges, to connect with others through meaningful contribution. As the poet Mary Oliver asked, "Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?" Note that she doesn't ask, "What are you passionate about?" but rather, "What you plan to do," suggesting that meaning emerges through committed action, not just emotion. The truth behind the lie of follow your passion is this: meaning isn't discovered in a perfect match between fixed internal passions and external work opportunities. It's created through the ongoing integration of developing skills, meaningful challenges, and purposeful contribution to something larger than yourself. And perhaps that's the most meaningful truth of all.